Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Sam Tryon, and I have the privilege of serving as the pastor of Emmanuel United Methodist Church. And here at Emmanuel, we believe that all people are children of God. And we welcome all people into our space, into our hearts, and our fellowship. And so on behalf of the church, I want to welcome you here this afternoon. As many of you know, this community was special to Nesbitt. And Nesbitt was special to us. And so we're honored to be able to host this celebration of his life this afternoon. As we prepare to move into the celebration, I invite you to take this opportunity, if you haven't already, to go ahead and silence your cell phone. I love nervous laughter. It lets me know I'm onto something. If you should need to use the restroom at any time, restrooms are found by exiting the sanctuary and then turning right and then going down this hallway, and the restrooms are on your right. A gender-neutral restroom is located through the double doors at the end of the hall, and then take a right and you'll find them on your left. Do you all have that? All right. Please stay for a time of fellowship and sharing after the service in our fellowship hall, which you can find if you go down this hallway, and it's on your right. Everything's on the right. Just keep going right and you'll find it. And finally, I want to call our hearts and minds to this promise, whatever you believe or doubt, that we are never alone. Emmanuel means God is with us, and we belong to God. We live in God's world, God's good creation. In life, in death, and in life beyond death, God is with us, and we are not alone. Thanks be to God.
Hi. In thinking about my dad, there are two things that I wanted to share with you all today. Yeah, there are two things today that I want to think about and talk about. And the first is the way that my dad made me feel. This year for Mother's Day, Logan wrote me his Mother's Day card about why do I love my mama? And he said, I love my mom because I just do. And that's how my dad loved me. And that's how I loved him. And I know how special that is. And that's something I hold with me. And it's something I know that all of you knew about him as well. The other piece that I want to remind you all of, or that I want you to leave here today remembering, is the way that he walked in the world. And I think that is the way that I am going to carry on who he was, and who he wanted me to be. He always answered the door to anyone who knocked. Whatever religion, whatever they were peddling, he would invite them in, offer them a cup of tea, and really listen to them, and really have a conversation with them. It was unlikely that they would ever change his mind, but he was always interested in and welcome to having his mind opened. And the other thing about the way that he lived life was that he made a conscious choice to never do things the easy way. He often told me that the worst mistake he ever made was majoring in theater, because that was the thing that he was good at, and that was the thing that came naturally, and he should have majored in history because that's what was hard.
Could you use the microphone a little more? I'm having a great deal of trouble hearing you.
He also, he made me learn to drive on stick shift, right? It was not the easy way for him or me, but it was the way that I would learn the most, and it was the way that would serve me the most in my life. And so that is how I want to go into the world, continue in the world, is not doing things the easy way, but doing things the way that will challenge me the most and grow me the most. And so I ask you all to remember that as you carry his memory out into the world. Logan, do you want to say something? No? Okay. Thank you.
Can you hear me? Good. My name is Ann Irvin, and I was born Ann Blaisdell, which means I am Nesbitt's only sibling and his young sister. He was 3 and a bit years older than I. I adored him when I was a child. He could do no wrong, and he was wonderful with me. He let me play with the groups of guys that he played with, and I was always wonderful. I was in his first play he ever wrote and directed. I was 6 years old. I don't remember what the play was about. I don't remember anything more about it except that I was supposed to drink. Wait a minute, I'm mixed up here. Wait a minute. Yes, that's right. I can't remember the plot. And I remember that I was supposed to eat a sandwich on the play, and we disagreed as to whether I should actually eat the sandwich or I should pretend to eat the sandwich. I can't remember what the result was, but we did disagree. When he was about 12, he dropped me. I was no longer interesting. Little sisters were boring, and you didn't want to be around them. I was devastated. I remember going to my mother and crying. I guess I got over it. Then he went off to prep school. Why did he go to prep school? Because he was, how did my parents put it, mingling with the wrong kind of crowd at the public school in Washington, D.C. So he was sent off to Westminster Academy, which was known for helping bring young men back to the right path. I guess it did. Anyway, he went there, and he went to Amherst. At Amherst, he asked me up to a dance, and I had a date with his friend Joe Stecker and went to the dance. After my college and graduate school, I moved to New York, and he was in New York, and he kind of kept a weather eye on me, I think, making I was sure I was behaving myself, which I wasn't. Can't read my parents. we became good friends, actually. We saw a lot of each other. He was pretty good for me. And as I say, he kept a weather eye on me. After our parents died, I remember it. My mother died first. And then after Dad died, I remember after the service, he put his arm around me and he said, "Ann, I think we're the older generation now." So I am the older generation. I don't have any more notes, so I guess that's all I was going to say. Anyway, I adored him. I fought with him sometimes. He frustrated me sometimes. But we got on. We got on. I saw him. He called me about 6 months ago, I guess it was. I don't know when he moved to California. And he said, "You better come down and see me, because they're moving me out to California and I'm not coming back," which was very like the way he would approach things. So I did, and we had 3 days together. A friend of mine was driving down that direction, and I drove with him, and Nibs and I walked and talked and had a good time. And then when I left, I knew I was seeing him for the last time. So that's Nesbitt. And I would like, at some point in this event, if people could stand up and tell us who they are and how they knew him. That will make it nice during the gathering afterwards to know who you're talking to. If you could arrange that, whoever's in charge. Thank you. I'm only 92, so be patient with me.
So I'm Tom Sims. I'm a neighbor of Nesbitt's, and I want to tell you a little bit about my friend Nesbitt. And it mine's gonna be a little lighter than what we've heard so far because it's just easier that way. So I'm gonna share some memories that I have of him and things that we did. I lived probably 4 houses away from him, so I saw him before I knew him. He was kind of an eccentric old guy. He was walking around all the time. He had a 10-speed bike that he rode. His house was tucked in a way that you really couldn't see it, so that just felt with the eccentric kind of thing that I was discussing there. To add to this, at Halloween, he gave the kids walnuts in the shell. At Christmas, he had a wreath outside that had black gloves on it. Nobody knew what any of this was, but it just added to who he was. So I often saw him walking around the neighborhood, and I had no reason to stop and talk to him. I mean, I'd say hello to him, but I just didn't. I wasn't out running around and doing all kinds of things. But then one day, he's in my backyard. And my backyard's not easy to get into. I mean, it doesn't have fences or anything, but you have to try to get into the backyard. Like, what is he doing? I said, "Excuse me, can I help you?" "I'm looking for a persimmon tree." It's like, I didn't know what a persimmon tree was, and so we looked around a little bit, and no persimmon tree. But then after that, I started talking to him a little more, and got to be, talking to him on the street. And then he invited me in for coffee. Well, that was a little different because when he made coffee, he took the grounds that he had already used and poured water over them, and that was your coffee. He said, "Would you like to try some of my homemade bread?" Well, you can't say no. So he served me bread on these wooden plates that have cracks in them. And you're like, I have no idea how much bacteria is in this, but you just grin and bear it and eat. You're just nice. So, yeah. One day I said, "How about if I bring a bottle of wine up and we can enjoy some wine together?" That'd be great. So I show up, and Nesbitt's got a sport jacket on. He's got some sliced cheese ready to go. I found this really awkward. I didn't know what to expect from all of this. But anyway, that started a nice friendship. After a while, I started bringing up a six-pack, and we'd share a six-pack together. And I hate to think about how many times we did this. We probably did this, once a week for 5 or 6 years, and that meant 2 or 3 hours with Nesbitt. So I know an awful lot about this guy. I've heard a lot of stories. I probably heard stories that you guys don't want to hear. You go up to his door and you knock on the door, and I disagree with you that he was inviting. I'd knock on the door, and he would be in the back, and he didn't open it. He'd just yell, "Who the F is it?" I got to wondering if, like, having beers with him was such a good idea. So, those of you who know him, he's got this long couch, and it's real low to the ground, and he'd sit on this couch, and he'd sit there, and when he'd go to get up, he'd kind of lurch forward, and right across from him is his wood-burning stove, and it's like this far from where he's getting up. I always thought this was going to end in disaster. Fortunately, it didn't. He also had deck with a step on it that was very hard for him to negotiate. It got to the point where I'd have to hold his arm when he was going down this. The kitchen, yeah, that's... He'd sit in these chairs, and I think he was afraid to get up because he couldn't put his weight on the table because the table would break. And sometimes he'd use the stove, but anyway, we made it through all that. And I said something to him one day about whether it was such a good idea to have beers with him like this. And he's like, "Well, if you're not here drinking with me, I'm drinking by myself, so what does it matter?" And that was good old Nesbitt. So, where am I here? So we exchanged stories for a good long time. And like I say, I knew an awful lot about him. And what I got out of this, he's extremely proud of his life. He maybe wasn't president of the United States, but he acted that he was the president of the United States. And he just was, he just loved telling you about all the things he had done, all the places he had been, driving around the world in a Studebaker and living in Wisconsin and living in Florida and all the stuff that went with it. So every so often we digress and start talking about politics. Nesbitt is a Union card carrying ultra liberal, if you guys didn't know that. And that's not me. So we would talk, and as you said, he could talk. And he would listen to my perspective. And believe it or not, a lot of times I made sense to him. And he'd be like, "I never thought of that." And that was kind of neat. And that's not out there so much in this world today. People don't talk about politics the same way and be able to understand one another. So he enjoyed listening. He enjoyed whatever I was there for, and I just had a great time with him. I miss him immensely. So any of my remarks are totally out of love. They're not meant to be mean or anything like that. So that was my friend Nesbitt.
Hi everyone, this is Reverend Stephanie Vader. I got the privilege of being one of Nesbitt's pastors. He never did become a member at Emmanuel while I was there. It's actually one of the first things he told me when I went to visit him. He said, "Don't ever ask me to become a member of the church because I won't." And I said, "That's okay," and I never did. And even though he wasn't an official member, he was one of the most faithful people I knew. He showed up every week for worship and every week for Bible study. Not only did he show up, but he would come to worship and he would weep. And sometimes he would tell me how much he loved my sermon, and he did that regularly. I used to tell him all the time in Bible study that he wasn't a very good advertisement for my teaching ability, because he would loudly say often that he wasn't really a Christian. But he always came super prepared for Bible study. He knew that text. Sometimes he said it was a bunch of propaganda. And he always had really wise and loving things to say about the scripture, things that made all of us think deeper and ask better questions. So today, I wish I was with you. I wish I was with you to celebrate a life that was long and well-lived, that was full of adventure, that was full of joy and sorrow. A life that Nesbitt worked so hard to make himself always a better human. I remember a few things about him. He loved to go to Little Flowers. I can still picture him in Little Flowers classrooms, playing that harmonica, teaching them union songs about the workers, about fair wages. And the kids would just swirl around him while he played and taught them the words. I also have such fond memories of him in worship. Sometimes he would weep, and sometimes he would curse loudly. And my final memory is of him reading for us from Frog and Toad. So I want to read just an excerpt from Frog and Toad for you right now. What you see is the clear, warm light of April, and it means that we can begin a whole new year together. Toad, think of it, said Frog. We will skip through the meadows and run through the woods and swim in the river. And in the evenings, we will sit right here on this front porch and count the stars. I know that on the other side, all the trumpets are sounding for Nesbitt, that he has been welcomed home. And I give thanks for his life. And in honor of him, I end with all the profanities. I love you, Nesbitt.
So I met Nesbitt in Bible study. And the first time I heard him swear in Bible study, which I do think was probably the first time I was in Bible study with him, I knew I was going to get along really well with him. We became friends. We became pew buddies. And we sat in the back there. And we had mutual interests. I'm a musician, obviously. The theater, music, ballet. I took him to several concerts of mine. And we also shared our union activism. So he was incredibly proud of his unions, not just one. SAG and AFTRA before they became SAG-AFTRA, and of course Actors Equity. And when I ran for union office in 2014, he was my biggest supporter. And I also spent time with him at dinners, and we exchanged a lot of dialogue about the union and where things were. And in a certain president's first term, we would exchange our anger and frustration, and he would say things like, "I just want to go strike." And so he actually had that opportunity in 2019 when the Baltimore Symphony was actually locked out. And so I picked Nesbitt up, and he had on one of his union shirts, and we walked the picket line with the Baltimore Symphony musicians, and he was 90 years old at the time, and he was out there still picketing and marching. During the pandemic, too, I know that he was very concerned about artists who were out of work, and he shared that he gave money to actors in need, but I can tell you firsthand, because I was secretary-treasurer of the local in Washington, D.C., that he sent a check of $1,000 for the locals, for our fund, Relief Fund for musicians. And that meant an awful lot to me. So in the spirit of organizing, I'm a bass player, and I'm an uptight classical musician. So I am not someone who sings and plays at the same time, but I'm going to honor Nesbitt by asking you guys to join me. We're organizing here and singing Joe Hill. So the words hopefully will be on the screen. And please, 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 and even if you think you're not a good singer, I'm right there with you. So speak it if you have to. I dreamed I saw Joe Hill last night, alive as you or me. Said I, but Joe, you're 10 years dead. I never died, said he. I never died, said he. The copper bosses killed you, Joe. They shot you, Joe, says I. It takes more than guns to kill a man, says Joe. I didn't die, says Joe. I did not die. And standing there as big as life and smiling with his eyes, this Joe that they could never kill went on to organize, went on to organize. From San Diego up to Maine, and every mine and mill, where working folks defend their rights, it's there you'll find Joe Hill. It's there you'll find Joe Hill. I dreamed I saw Joe Hill last night, alive as you or me. Said Joe to Joe, you're 10 years dead. I never died, said he. I never died, said he.
Okay, in the spirit of my mother's request, my name is Kate, and I'm a niece of Nesbitt's. Yes, and I'm Ann Irvin's daughter and Nesbitt Blaisdell's niece. Here we are, all come together to celebrate the lead actor, and indeed perhaps the director of the play called Nesbitt Blaisdell. We're here to share and hear stories about the scenes that took place in that play. Mine focuses on about a decade of visits from my home in Aberdeen, Scotland, to Nesbitt's home here in Skaggsville, Maryland, while I was passing through my decade of about the 50s into early 60s, and Nesbitt was passing through his decade of kind of 80s into early 90s. So not that long ago. I loved these visits. We would sit on the deck in the heat of the Maryland morning or afternoon or evening with an appropriate beverage according to the time of day, and we would watch the bees fly in and out of their hives and in and around the trees and the leaves of the trees that had been planted by my grandfather, by Nesbitt's dad. We would pull our boots on. We would tuck our trousers into our socks. We would pull on a long-sleeved shirt, and we would go for a meander in those woods, clearing and tracing the paths that my uncle had created for him to go on daily walks, and when I was there, to join him for those daily walks. And we would walk down to the creek that was at the bottom of the hill. There was a creek that my uncle went to when he was a child growing up, and where I had gone as a child growing up. So it was a revisiting of those. And we would have breakfast at the round table that you've heard about already in the morning. And it was in the kitchen that had wooden cabinets made from the old farm, the old barn that was on the farm. And it had cabinet door openers that were from my mother from when she was in Pakistan. And we would use those wooden plates and the wooden bowls that you've heard about already to have our breakfast on. And this would be followed by a morning walk, and then a morning nap, and then lunch on the deck, and then an afternoon walk, and then an afternoon nap, and then in the evening, these were filled with watching films that either Nesbitt had been in, not necessarily he was a star of his life, but sometimes not necessarily the main star in the films. So we would watch those films, or we would sometimes watch a film that he thought was theatrically important and wanted to make sure that I experienced. Or we would read his homegrown plays that he had written. Me taking one character, him taking another character, me taking the third character, him taking the fourth character. Sometimes there'd be several more that we would need to fit in, and sometimes we would invite the neighbors in to help us read those plays. Or we would spend time telling stories. One of the things that I loved about these visits was the quiet routine that we would fall into. The other thing that I really loved about these is the ancestral connections that I had there, not only with my uncle, but also with the farmhouse that my grandparents had purchased, that we had moved from one place to the other, and to be walking in those woods and spending time with the land that had been very important to my grandfather and also was very important to my uncle. And then I think, like much of what we've kind of heard from some of the other comments, is I really appreciated hearing Nesbitt's stories about the journey that he took to follow his passion. And I hope that I can emulate that in some small way.
I don't have index cards. I have, excuse me. Trying to join the 21st century here. You got the paper. Oh, goodness. This is supposed to make it easier. My name is Robert Emery Blaisdell. I'm the youngest son of Nesbitt. I'm here as the regent patriarch of the Blaisdell name. The oldest son, Jeffrey, is in northern Thailand, enjoying the warmer climes, and would have a hard time making it across the Pacific and the rest of North America to be here, but I'm holding space for him, as we all are. And then the middle brother here is somewhere around here. Has anyone seen Andrew? Oh yeah, the scruffy-looking character in back. That's our middle brother. And I'm here as a placeholder and acknowledging the lineage of my father. I had to look up and Google what I'm supposed to do at a memorial. I've never been to one of these before, so I thought it would be fitting to show up and to celebrate with all of you in this way. Yeah, my father, our father, our brother, our great uncle. Wow, what a character. What a lot of characters, okay, yeah. Yeah, he was in the theater. He mentioned a number of times, don't make me join the church, but I'll tell you what my real church is, and it's the theater. I was like, so there we go. I have a lot of memories of my father, and it's been quite a process of going back over the recollections, dredging up the stories and unearthing all kinds of tidbits and things that have fallen back, into the recesses of memory that these occasions, I think, are very important to access and acknowledge. Access the memory of the ancestors, the lineages that we all come through. And also tell the stories of those who have come before us, and to bring that wave forward into the generations that keep emerging. I don't know if anybody has noticed, but we emerge out of each other's bodies. But we also emerge out of the stories that we tell. The temple of the theater. We emerge out of our emotional worlds, of our ideas. And I am well and deeply a product of my father. And thank you for those of you who have delicately pointed out the Blaisdell nose. And there's several other genetic traits that I carry. A bit of a spitting image. I've had a smattering of cinematic experiences in terms of acting, a couple on the stage and a couple in film. I think one of there's two claims to fame. One was that I was in a World War II revisionist film as an extra on set in Kyoto, Japan. So I was an Army major attaché during the World War II trials, and I had a friend take a picture of me in my Army major's uniform, being swarthy and all kinds of, looking, military and straight-backed, and I compare that to the picture of my father in his Marine uniform, and it would be very, very easy to mistake one for the other. In fact, he would get really angry at me when I would come and visit in New York City, because I would answer the phone and people would not realize that they were speaking to the younger Blaisdell. And I would be like, hello? And people would go, oh, Nesbitt, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And Nesbitt would go, stop doing that. Yeah, so I would have to make a point to say, this is not Nesbitt, I'll turn you over soon. So those and many, many memories of some really great times, particularly in Wisconsin. I think Nesbitt woke up one day and said to himself, I'm going to build a canoe. Which, I think we probably all have had that moment. And then slowly over that winter, a canoe or the bones of it, the skeleton of a canoe started to emerge. And that man built a canoe in the basement, and it was curious contraption, and it actually worked. And it was he covered it in canvas and then lacquered it and painted it. And I am immensely grateful for the outings that he took us on. In fact, looking over the picture books that I have, I was struck by, well, here's a picture of us outside in Minnesota. And here's a picture of us as a family hanging out in Wyoming, out in the Badlands. Here's a picture of us in Michigan. Here's a picture of us on the shores of Florida. And I realized that one of the things that my father instilled in me is an appreciation for being outside and to be undaunted by going outside and really experiencing nature. And part of the reason that we are here as a family is the purchase of what we endearingly call Well House. And can you remind me when Dawn bought Well House? 1943. Inherited some money when her parents died, when her mother died. And they decided to buy some property. I remember we went down to Virginia, and there was a beautiful property there with water and river, but it was too expensive, and I'm glad we didn't. It was too far. Then with the war, it was gas rationing, and our ration for the week allowed us one trip from Washington to the farm and back each week. Right. That was all. Otherwise, you took the bus. So from the 40s. 1942, right. 43, something like that. Yeah. Yeah. So her father, Donald Blaisdell, a statesman, a representative, also attaché to the formation of the United Nations. So they were Washington, D.C.ers, and so that's when he bought Well House, which was a house with a well, and she mentions it's farmland, and that was back when none of this development was here. And it was a long dirt track. Up 90 acres, yeah, and bit by bit that got $4,500. Think of that, yeah. And the house had been there for quite a while by the time that he get 1875. So when you're walking along flowering Cherry Lane, and there's this creaking ancient building set back. Amidst all of the finer looking, more recent buildings, that's Well House, and that is our heritage farm, and that's the reason why our family is here, and that's why I'm here celebrating with you. And it's also a beautiful example not only of the Nesbitt as a creature of contrasts and contradictions. Not only was he a stalwart, classic liberal in the terms of a liberal education and liberal arts, but he was to the bone a conservative. And he was adamant about preserving and conserving our stories and our heritage, to the degree that when most of the property that Well House was on was sold, Nesbitt demanded, and rightly so, that the Well House be moved a quarter of a mile or so to its current location. And that's where he resided for the remainder of his years. And I had great opportunity to spend quite a bit of time with him, not only in Chicago and also New York, but also there with my family, and coming to this very building on a number of occasions to celebrate with you. And those are great memories, and I am... This is a Blaisdell trait from the upwellings of emotion, and I remember Don too. The choking and then the pause, and then to actually come deeper from the heart to express my gratitude for this space, to welcome in all of us, and my gratitude for you to come and celebrate. That guy. Thank you all.
Just this one. Just this one. Don't touch it. Just talk. Just talk.
Hi, my name is Jordan.
And who is Nesbitt to you?
Grandpa.
And what do you want to say about Grandpa?
I know Grandpa. What is it? I know Grandpa all means to all of us in the whole world who knows us and all of us down here.
Did you want to say about his spirit? No? About the cookies? Okay. Are you done? Don't touch it. Don't touch it. All done? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Sorry, guys. Okay. Hello, everyone. I'm going to read straight from my iPhone. There's so many memories and emotions flooding, like probably all of us, so to remember everything is a lot. My name is Crystal, and I know many of you know him from Maryland, but I know him from East Village, New York City, where I've known him most of my life. His daughter, Jenny, and I have been classmates, best friends, surrogate sisters, I guess that's what we call it. So Nesbitt is not my father, but he's known to many as basically my godfather, and I say it wasn't official, but definitely from God. So many of us knew Nesbitt in different ways. To some, he was a grandfather, to others, a father, a brother, an uncle, a friend, an artist, community member, an intellect, an activist, a radical, a conservative. But I want to share how I knew Nesbitt. He was all of those things, but above all, he was brave. And he was also humble. He was serious and he was funny. He was tough and he was kind. He was smart. He knew the most in the room, but he was also always willing to learn. He was sharp-witted in a way that always made you think and laugh. And he didn't just let life happen to him, he lived vigorously. And Nesbitt was the king of the East Village to me and to many. And Second Avenue was where he reigned. I have so many amazing memories there with many of you. And also out of there, memories in the community, building our school's first community garden, creating the school's flag that was only recently taken down now to protest, and memories of my first camping trips that horrified me, but taught me about nature as a city kid, long conversations about theater and politics and lessons about cultures far beyond the East Village, but he taught me how to remain connected to my community while caring about people all across the world. And memories are shaped by time, and time shapes traditions. And it's through tradition that our loved ones like Nesbitt live on. They live eternally in the rituals we pass on to generations later, when no one quite remembers where they started. And Nesbitt's legacy will live on in my own family's traditions, even long after they're forgotten the origin stories through generations. Some of these rules that will live on for generations. Strollers are for sissies. No white bread, ever. And most importantly, if you're anti-union, you're anti-American. We love you, Nesbitt. We will never forget you, and we will spend the rest of our lives honoring your legacy. God bless you.
All the world's a stage, and all the men and women merely players. They have their exits and their entrances, and one man in his time plays many parts.
You pick.
Oh, no.
It's your vacation.
The Bahamas.
But that's where your mom and daddy are going. Where do you want to go? I mean, we're going on our own vacation, just you and me and Grandpa.
Where would you like? I'll help you to your train. Give an old man a quarter. Give an old man a quarter. No. I'll help you to your train.
No.
Get your hands off me. Don't touch me. Nobody touches me.
Somebody touched you. Here. I was saving it, but go on, you take it. Here's a shelter that's not bad on the west side. I mean, they pray at you, but the food's okay.
What happened here last night?
Well, according to the Potts brothers, a lone gunman forced his way into their home and held them and their missus hostage for about 4 hours. Then he shot the boys and took off.
You buy that story?
My guess is they grabbed someone, maybe your man, and the story's just a cover-up. Now, I'll deny I ever said that.
Where are the Potts now?
Well, Darryl and Rudy over at the hospital if you want to see them.
What about Mrs. Potts?
Well, she's okay. She's home.
I'd like to talk to her.
I'll get a deputy to take you over there.
No, thanks. You've done enough. I owe you one.
Started about 2 months ago. Every time I answered the phone, I'd hear it. The first one was just a loud beeping noise. Now they're mostly these creaking, howling sounds.
You don't like this?
Well, once it was a man talking really fast.
What do you say?
I couldn't make it out. Some foreign language.
Have you had the line checked?
I even had our number changed. But before I got a chance to give it out to anyone, the call started again. But this once I got a visit from some lawyer. I guess he was from the city. Said he represented some company. Wanted me to move all this fill for landscaping. Company called. What was it? Anyway, 2 weeks they give us. I said, that's impossible. They said, it don't matter, we'll cover it. They were willing to pay a lot of overtime. I hired extra guys. I never asked myself, what's the hurry? I found out the fill was contaminated with toxins, pesticides, PCBs. I saw a printout. Must have been 15, 16 different kinds. 5 guys working for me that job. We were grading the fill, breathing it in. 3 are sick, dying. Bartlett? Federal Appeals Court turned you down. I'm sorry. Time to go, Poncelet. Sister Helen touch me? Yes, you may. Dead man walking!
Well, that's that. Forget the fishing derby, boys.
How come?
Without Marion, we're a man short. Rules say 4 men in a boat. Jesus, Brock, I'm sorry.
What happened?
I hooked him in the neck. No, don't pull on it. You'll rip his damn veins out.
He'll bleed to death.
Take it easy, Brock. You're just making it worse. Let me see it.
Stay away from me.
We gotta get the hooks out. Hold still.
Get away!
You got to hold still, Brock.
Get away from me!
You gotta knock him out.
What?
Nah,
Only
nah.
way to get the hooks out.
Sorry, Brock. It's for your own good.
Oh, you scut-cat hound. Oh, cheat it, you bastard. It's not working. You're not knocking him out. You're only beating the piss out of him.
Son
of bitches.
Hold still. Sure is tough.
Somebody else
Get
take a
away.
swing.
I only hooked him in the neck. I'm not trying to kill him.
Please help me pull his hands away from
No
his face.
way.
Hey, I got a strike. I'll kill you for this.
I'm sorry, Brock.
It's for your own good.
Oh, Jesus, fellas, I'm sorry. Oh, it's cold.
Hey, look. It fell out.
No need to thank me. Grab him. I was only trying to help.
He's mine. You come to get me, I'll be ready. I don't work. I don't sleep. What about our money?
Well, I know that was part of the original plan, but circumstances have changed. We still get our money, don't we?
Now, I'm sure that all of you, in the spirit of the joyous Christmas season, you'll find it in your hearts.
Oh. I think Father Tom's making off with the cash box again. Yeah, I know. Don't worry, Miss Costa.
Come back here, you old fart. Father Tom. Father Tom. Bring that
Who says God has no sense of humor?
tea is ready. Oh, you won't go. You're disgusting. You forgot your pants again. Honestly, Father Tom.
Do we even want to know what those two could possibly find to talk about? It's hard to imagine, all right.
Mr. Green, what are you doing here? I was just on my way to the airport.
Come here, Sam.
Linda. Is Linda all right?
Sam, listen to me. Love can sometimes be a very difficult thing. Listen up. Dear Sam, this is the most difficult thing I've ever done. I'm sorry I don't have the courage to do it face to face. I never planned this, Sam.
Mr. Green, what is this?
Oh, she left you. I'm reading her Dear John to you. It's not you, Sam. How can I make you understand?
Your life is set. You have your stars and your friends and the town, but I feel like I'm just finding out what mine is all about. Oh, Sam, so many emotions are surfacing as I write this. Where is she, Mr. Green? She thought it would be best if you didn't talk for a while. Let me finish this up, okay? You're my best friend in the world, Sam. So you must know that this is the way I am. I can't help it. It's my nature. It's true, son. She's nuts. Where are you going? I'm not finished. I'm sorry, folks. We're going to have to wrap this up.
A little early, isn't it? Ruth said they could stay at 6:45.
It's time for you folks to be leaving now.
Fantastic. I'm so proud to have been his sister-in-law for a long time. Am I good? Okay, because I am loud. Better? Okay, so on the back of your program are the lyrics for This Land Is Your Land. It's also going to be up if whatever is convenient for you. It was one of Nesbitt's favorite songs. Sort of talks about everything we've been talking about today. So I'm going to start us off slowly, and then we're going to build, and you're all going to join, and I'm going to let you know when. Okay, sound good? So we're all going to join and be singing with Nesbitt, for Nesbitt, and about what he believed in. This land is your land. This land is my land. From California to the New York Islands, from the Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me. Now we're all gonna sing. As I went walking that ribbon of highway, I saw above me that endless skyway. I saw below me that golden valley. This land was made for you and me. As I was walking, I saw a sign there, and I said,
Nesbitt's widow. We were married for almost 39 years. Nesbitt deeply loved this particular part of the land that was made for you and me. We were married here. He spent years planning how to save his beloved woods in perpetuity. And he spent his last 2 decades drinking that really not very good coffee, Tom, in the well house kitchen, keeping an eye on all the daily miracles right outside his window. Nesbitt loved this church. If he couldn't simply walk into the woods one day, never to be seen again, his plan was to be buried in the Emmanuel Cemetery in as green a fashion as the laws of Maryland and the comfort of the church would allow. He does indeed have a plot here, but as the end yeared, it seemed very sadly, that Nesbitt might not get to have that final wish, dying far, far away in Hollywood, California. But never, North Hollywood, sorry. But never count out the determination of a committed old coot combined with the equal determination of a loving daughter with Google at her fingertips. Nesbitt skipped the long middle step of burial and time and returned into natural soil, already part of the earth's cycles of birth, death, and rebirth. As you go walking your own particular highways, please take with you some wildflower seeds, bee-friendly wildflower seeds, to scatter, honoring Nesbitt's memory by simply and subversively beautifying the earth he loves so dear.
Those wildflower seeds will be in 2 baskets located. Where are you going to put those baskets? We're handing those out. So as you're leaving here to go to the reception in the hall, you'll be handed some wildflower seeds. And you're invited to take seeds for others who loved Nesbitt but was not able to be here. So please feel free to take more than one. I want to say a word about our benediction today. I was asked to prepare a benediction, and when I was thinking about it and what I thought we would do here today, this litany came to mind, and we're all going to participate in it. It's called the Litany of Remembrance, and it was actually written by 2 rabbis. And, you said, I don't know what we do at a memorial service. And I thought, when you said that, about what we are doing, and I thought of a phrase that comes out of the Quaker tradition, let your life speak. And what we've done today is give testimony to the unique ways that Nesbitt's life spoke. A creature of contrasts. I love you because I just do. Adored. Kind eccentricity. Faithful non-member and asker of deep questions. A love for the arts. And a king of East Village. These are the things that we remember. And so call them to mind as we share in our benediction together. When we are weary and in need of strength, when we are lost and sick at heart, when we have joy we crave to share, when we have decisions that are difficult to make, when we have achievements that are based on theirs. at the blowing of the wind and in the chill of winter, at the opening of the buds and in the rebirth of spring, at the blueness of the skies and in the warmth of summer, at the rustling of the leaves and in the beauty of autumn, at the rising of the sun and at its setting. We remember them. As long as we live, they too will live, for they are now part of us. Amen. Go in peace.